Hey guys, so today I'm making a video in my bathroom because in my house this is the only room that has decent lighting for this. That'll explain why you see part of my shadow or reflection over here and my shower curtain over here. So let's go ahead and get started because it's kind of a long one. So today marks the 10th anniversary of my mom's passing. I was 16, about to turn 17, and it's a hard one, and I want to apologize in advance because I will cry. I do my best not to think about it, not to try to give it too much attention because, I've grieved and I've dealt with it, but you never stop missing someone. Especially a parent, unless you've had, bad things happen with your parents or whatever, you don't stop missing your parents. In 2010, I was a sophomore in high school, and I was 16. So when you were a sophomore at the school I went to, you got to go to the vocational school and see what programs they had. If you were interested in them, if you weren't interested, whatever, you could decide. So on March 4th, we were supposed to go. And I didn't get to go, which was fine. I didn't really care about it. But it was the hardest day of my life. So my mom was 39. She was supposed to turn 40 that year. And it's really hard for me to find the words, so sorry. So on March 4th, I got up to get ready for school, and I kind of need to let you know how our house was set up. When you walked in our front door, there was a bedroom to the left. As soon as you came in the front door, there was a bedroom to the left, which was my mom and dad's room. And then there was the front room, the kitchen was behind the front room, the bathroom was next to there was a wall shared between the kitchen and the bathroom. And our front room was all kind of together. And then you go to the left, and there was my room, and then you go around the corner, and there was my brother's room. So you had to go through my room to get to my brother's room. At that point, I was the only kid still at home because I'm the youngest. And so, my mom, she had a lot of health issues. She had to use CPAP or BiPAP, something like that, while she slept because, she would quit breathing a lot. And because of that, because when she would quit breathing and she would, breathe again, she would jerk and everything like that. So her and my dad weren't really sleeping together because of that. And so, my mom, she would come and sleep in my room a lot. And we had a bed in the back bedroom, which was my brother's old room. And so on the 3rd, whenever I went to go to bed, I told my mom, I was like, good night, I love you, I'll see you in the morning, whatever. And then I went to bed. And my brother and his wife at the time, they were separated, so my brother would sleep over at our house and then go to work, because him and my dad worked at the same place, but they didn't ride together. So my mom and brother were still up talking, and then I went ahead and went to bed. So the next morning I got up and I walked through my bedroom, and my mom, she would sometimes sleep with her arm hanging down or whatever it was. And so, you know, I would have to wake her up and tell her, you know, you need to readjust, you know, because you're hanging off the bed, you're gonna fall, readjust, you know, scoot back on the bed. So I went to do that. I went to tell her to scoot back on the bed because she's about to fall off, and I touched her. She was cold. I was like, that's not right. Like, she's uncovered and the fan's on, but she shouldn't be that cold. You know, if she was cold, she would have covered up. And she didn't. And so I touched her because I kept trying to wake her up, and she wasn't breathing. So I went over her and I lifted up her face because her face was in the pillow. And I lifted up her face, and her face was purple. And there was liquid dripping from her nose and her mouth, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this isn't okay, like, something's wrong. And, you know, I was 16, I didn't know what to do, and so, like, I was already crying at this point, and, like, I went and I beat on my dad's door, and he's like, what? I was like, something's wrong, Mom, like, something, and he jumped up real quick, and he went and checked her, and, you know, we rolled her off the bed onto the floor, and he called 911. And so, like, we put the dogs up, and we got ready for 911 to come there. And when they got there, they checked for a pulse, and they couldn't find one. So they were like, she's gone. And it was just, in that moment, you're in a state of shock. You don't believe what you're seeing, and you don't believe it's true. It's like a nightmare that you can't wake up from. And so in that moment, like, my mom was on a lot of medications because my mom was in a lot of pain. She had a lot of health problems. She was diabetic. She had a lot of back pain. She had diabetes. It was just, I think I said that. I don't know. There's so much that's going on in my head right now. I'm sorry. But, you know, they had to take down all of her medication. They had to put it into their database. And, you know, at this point, you know, she was supposed to go get a CAT scan done that day because she had been having, you know, like, mini strokes. Like, she couldn't talk sometimes. She couldn't move, like, the left side of her body, but, like, 20-30 minutes would go by and she'd be fine. And, like, we would take her to the emergency room, and they would be like, well, there's nothing we can do. She just has to see a neurologist because she's not having an episode now and she's perfectly fine. You know, we can't do anything. And so finally, you know, she talked to her doctor, and they were gonna do a CT scan of her brain to see if that's what's been happening. And we didn't get to do that. We didn't get any answers from anything. The ambulance, they asked us, they're like, well, do you want us to, you know, send off for an autopsy to be done? And, you know, we didn't have a lot of money. And so we were like, you know, how much is that going to cost? $3,500 for an autopsy. You know, I get it, but, you know, she was young. But because she was on so much medication and she had so many health problems, you know, it was more just basic natural causes, basically. And that's kind of the answer we had to go with. And I didn't like that answer, but, you know, I've always known kind of what happened, I think. but we had to pick a funeral home, like, right away, so they could call someone to come get her. And my mom was a large woman, and our house was small. And I remember sitting with my dad in the kitchen just crying and holding each other. Because how do you react when that happens? You have to cry. You can't do anything else. Because nothing else you can do is going to bring them back. But, you know, our house was too small for them to get a gurney in. Because just the way that the corners were, I don't know, it was... Anyway, they ended up dragging my mom out on a sheet because she, you know, they couldn't get a gurney. And even though we didn't see it, you knew that's what happened. Because, I mean, they told us what they were going to do because that's what they had to do. But at that point, I was already getting text messages like, you know, what's going on? Are you okay? You know, a girl that I went to school with, she had a police scanner. And she heard something about, you know, Rhonda Mansfield, which was my mom. And when she got to school, she talked to my friends and she's like, you know, what's going on? You guys need to get a hold of her. You need to check on her. Something's wrong. And they did, and I told them. And one of my friends, we've been friends since preschool. Her mom is like my mom was like her mom. We were just best friends. And her mom went and checked her out because, you know, we're like a big family. And she came over, her mom came over, her grandma, her grandpa, they come over and everything, and we had to call all of my mom's family, and we called my dad's family, and I called, you know, my brothers and my sister and everything and let them know. And my uncle, he went and got my brother from work because my brother wasn't in any kind of shape to drive. Once he found out, he was just like numb. He was like a zombie. And then when they got there, my uncle came in. He's like, you need to go talk to your brother. I don't get along with this brother. I never have. And I don't talk to him to this day for different reasons. But he got out of the car and he kind of took a few steps and he fell to the ground. Like he didn't know what to do. Like, he just fell to the ground and just, like, laid there. And I remember that it irritated me so bad that he acted that way. Like, he couldn't compose himself. But yet, I was the one that found my mom. I was the one that lifted up her face and looked at it. That saw her in that state. And I was holding myself together. At 16, and he was like 20 something, like 23. Like, okay. Like, if I have to be okay, you have to be okay, because I'm the one that's traumatized for the rest of my life. You just have to deal with the death. And this day, it's always going to stick out in my mind because of the things that happened. And on my mom's side of the family, all the women on my mom's side of the family, we all look alike. And I have an aunt that looks so much like my mom. And, you know, she came over with her husband at the time, and she walked in the front door. I remember getting excited because I thought it was my mom. be let down because it wasn't my mom. It like hurt all over again because you have to come to that realization that she's not gonna walk through the door. She's actually gone. And like I can remember that after my mom, like after my grandpa died, he died in the May of, I think it was like 2009. And after that point, my mom, she's like, I don't care where you put me, just, you know, just do something with me when I go. And I mean, she always wanted to be buried next to my grandma, my grandpa, my uncle. And, you know, my grandpa, like a long time ago, had bought so many plots in a row. And then, like, he sold them or got rid of them or something. I don't really know. And, you know, my aunt was, like, the caretaker of his estate or something. And, you know, whatever was left instead, like, for some reason she didn't get rid of the plot that was left. But my mom didn't know that there was a plot left. And so my mom got the plot next to my grandma and my grandpa and everything, and I know she would have been happy to be there. But, like, that was the hardest day of my life. Like, that's not something I would ever wish on anybody. And just, we had to go and make arrangements for her funeral later that day, and I had a friend, she wanted us to wait until she got out of school. I was like, we're not waiting for you. Like, this isn't about you. Like, this isn't something you need to go with. Like, you weren't family. You didn't know her like that. And so it was a family friend of my dad's, and I mean, him and the friend of my dad's and my mom, they were really good friends. And it was me and my sister and my dad and then his friend, and we all went and made arrangements, and I picked out her casket, and we went and picked out flowers, and it was just so surreal. Like, you don't want to believe that it's true when it is. And so my aunt and one of my cousins took me and my sister shopping to get us something for the funeral, or, you know, something nice to wear, and, you know, and that was really nice. And but, like, I remember walking up and seeing my mom in the casket, and I just broke down and cried. And I remember my brother didn't even go to the visitation because he was there. He was at my dad's house with his wife that he was separated from and their son. Like, you can't go to your mom's visitation. Like, you can't. And then at the funeral, I just remember crying and crying and crying, and I mean, what else do? You don't laugh. You're not happy. I mean, you're saying your final goodbyes to somebody. But, I mean, like, this is the hardest video I've made. It probably will be the hardest video that I'll ever make, because this is such a hard thing to do, to talk about, because you love someone so much. It was a few years later, and I got my first tattoo, and it's for my mom, and it's on my shoulder. But I don't remember. I mean, there's so much that's happened in the last 10 years. There's so much that makes me so, I mean, like, my mom's not hurting anymore. Like, I wouldn't wish her back here for anything, because she's not hurting anymore. And, you know, I would never want to do that to her, to put her back here on this earth for me, for my selfish reasons, because she's not hurting. And I think that's one thing, like, when people, you know, question, like, would you want her back? No, I wouldn't, because, like, I wouldn't want her to have to hurt day in and day out, because I wasn't happy with life because she wasn't here. Like, it upsets me because, like, she didn't get to see me get married. She never got to meet my husband. She's never gonna get to meet my kids. You know, when I need somebody to talk to, she's not there. But I get to see her in my dreams all the time. And, like, my dad thinks I'm crazy because, like, my mom died on my bed, and I kept my bed for a long time, like, probably 3 or 4 years, and I kept it, and I slept on it every night. And it was comforting to me because it felt like she was there. And my dad always thought I was crazy because, like, I would smell the cigarettes that she smoked, and, like, nobody had smoked in our house since she died. And we, like, repainted everything, like, cleaned everything, and, you know, I would smell her favorite lotion, like, her favorite scent, and, like, I would see, like, soda cans, like, shake and move. Like, I wouldn't touch them, wouldn't be close to them. Like, it would be sitting on my nightstand, and it would move. And my dad always thought I was crazy. He's like, no, that's not real. That can't be real, because, like, when you die, you die. Like, she's not coming back to see, like, she's not here. I knew she was there. Like, I'm not crazy. But, like, I don't know. My face itches. I don't even know. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's so crazy. Like, there's so much that I want to say that I need to say, and I can't. And I know it's going to have to be put in another video because this is already running long. But I mean, you know, my mom is part of the reason why I'm at where I'm at, because I've always felt like you can take these horrible things that happen in your life and you can let it get you down, and you can let it keep you out, or you can let it push you so much harder and so much further than you could go. Like, you have to use it how you can't let it stop you. And between my brother and I feel like he used that as, like, a crutch to, as a crutch to just, like, stop. Like, to stop living his life, to stop doing everything. And for me, stopping wasn't an option. Like, I feel like my mom grieved herself to death over my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents, and, like, you know, I can't do that. You know, I've been a CNA for almost 5 years. I've watched people die, and I cannot sit and let that get me down. Like, I've taken care of people, and I've watched them take their last breath, and to go over and I always say that, you know, I have a sick sense of humor, or I have a twisted look on death because, you know, I've seen it so much, and I can't react the way that everybody else expects me to, because that's not me. I grieve in my own way, and I deal with it, and I process it in my own way, and I'm gonna be sad. I'm always gonna be sad. I'm always gonna miss my mom. Always, 100% of the time. But I can't sit and grieve every single day, because if I do, I'm gonna grieve myself to death, and I have too much life to live. But I can't say I don't miss my mom. I love my mom so much. Like, there's things I wish I could have done differently, but that's not an option, and I can't go back and redo things. You know, things are stuck the way they are, and that's how it's meant to be. But it's okay. You know, I know that during the important moments, my mom's there. At my wedding, I made, like, I took some pictures and I put them in frames and I stuck them in a chair at my wedding with a red rose, because red roses were her favorite. They were her favorite. And she was at my wedding. She may not have physically been there, but she was there. And, you know, there's so many more life events that she's not physically going to be there for, but she's going to be there. Because I know anywhere I am, my mom's going to be there with me. I don't know, but, you know, there's a lot of good times. And my mom, when I would cry when I was little, because, like, I missed my grandma, because my grandma died in a car accident when I was a kid. And I didn't get to process that because I was so young. And whenever I would get sad, my mom would sit and she would hold me and she's like, just remember the good times that you've had together. Just remember all those. Don't remember that she's not here, because she's always here with you. And after my grandma died, I would see my grandma everywhere. I would be at the grocery store and I would see her. And I remember telling my mom about that. And she would be like, that's her sign of telling you that she's okay. That you can let go, she's okay. And I was a kid and I didn't know how to process that. But I think, you know, seeing my aunt and thinking that it was my mom, I think that was my mom's way of telling me that she's okay. Like, when I have a super, super hard week, or I'm just, like, super stressed, my mom always comes to visit me in my dreams. And there's a lot of times I wake up crying. But I still get to see my mom. She still hugs me, tells me she loves me. So, I mean, the people that we love, even though they're gone, they're not gone. And I think that's why it's so much easier for me to kind of just let go and move on, but still remember. But I'm gonna wrap this up and I'm gonna go because I'm really tired of crying. I'm a big crybaby, but sometimes I really hate to cry. I really hope you guys enjoy this, and I really hope you guys stick around. And if you guys want to see, you know, some of the happy memories that I have with my mom, or hear stories about them, or some of the stories from my friends that knew her and loved her, I would be happy to get those stories for you guys and tell you, and, you know, share pictures with you guys if you want to see those. And my mom was a really great woman. And every time, you know, people see me and they knew her, they're like, you look so much like her. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a compliment or what. Sometimes it's hard to hear, though. But, alright. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Just like, subscribe, share, you know, do your thing, whatever. I just hope you enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.